Hello, good people of YouTube, and welcome to episode 4 of Adventuring. This episode sees me in the Peak District, going up a hill called Win Hill. It's called that. It's a derivation of Withens Hill. Basically, it means Willow Hill, because it's a hill, and I guess willows used to grow on it. It's not a massive hill. It's like 1,500 feet high, and you don't even have to climb all of that. I think the ascent is roughly 600-700 feet. Anyway, I'll be putting a link below to a route you can follow if you fancy going up Win Hill yourself. It's a very rewarding walk. For the actual effort to get up there, the views are pretty spectacular over the Peak District, as you'll see. I'm joined on this jaunt by the very funny comedian, Mr. Hal Cruttenden. You'll know Hal from, My Interview, Live at the Apollo. He also wrote and starred in his own Radio 4 sitcom called Hal. Well, he broke his heart coming up with a name for that show, didn't he? Anyway, Hal is going to be on tour in 2022 with a new show called It's Best You Hear It From Me, and there'll be a link to that in the description as well. That's about it. I just want to mention one thing about social distancing, where you'll notice we were actually quite close together during the interview on this. To be honest, the reason for that was I had just had a negative COVID test because of another job I was doing. So I had tested negative like the day before, and Hal had antibodies coursing through his body. He'd had the antigen test and in fact was donating plasma because he had such strong antigen action going on in his body. So between those two things and the fact that we were outdoors, we sat quite close together for the interview. Maybe that was an error of judgment. I'm just explaining that we didn't throw caution to the winds entirely. We had a negative test and an antigen test to make us feel safe. I think that's all I need to say, other than the fact that I don't have any more of these in the can as we speak. This was filmed just before lockdown 2 started. All of these 4 videos were filmed in October, and I haven't been able to do any since then. We're now just coming to a point where we can start to travel freely about the country again, and now that we are, I hope to record more soon. But if you want to know when they're going to be hitting your screens, click the subscribe, hit the bell, and we'll let you know. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching the ones you've watched and for leaving nice comments. Those of you who've left nice comments, it's very heartening, and it's very much appreciated. But for now, please enjoy Win Hill with me and Hal Cruttenden. I took my children up this hill when they were 5 and 6.
Which means the humiliation will be even greater if I collapse halfway up the top.
You shouldn't have a problem. They got wet though because it was snowy and they rolled around in the snow and they were freezing cold and soaking wet by the time we got to the top. So please, Hal, don't roll around in the wet autumn leaves. Okay?
So romantic.
I'm not going to deal with you crying, all right? Let's boogie. Do you know this girl? I forgot how well known you are, Hal. Paparazzi follow us everywhere.
How often do you get stopped a week by people saying, you're a comedian?
Well, nowadays, very rarely, because, due to COVID regulations, we've generally been locked in.
I'm wearing a mask.
Yeah. Do you much?
I get recognised. No, I get recognised to a level where often it's you're that comedian. And weirdly, I have a very ginger-haired daughter, and for some reason when I'm with her, it's either because attention is drawn by a ginger-haired girl, and then they look at me and go, oh, she thinks I'm very famous, because all her life I always seem to be spotted a lot more. I think it's because of the attention. But no, I was in a shop the other day.
Do you live in like a fishing village where everybody's super suspicious that a ginger-headed girl attracts attention? No, where do you live that people go, oh, the ginger-headed, we are cursed. I've never been anywhere where a ginger-headed girl would just attract attention.
Well, I'm trying to find a reason why I get spotted more with my youngest daughter. I was in a shop and this guy said, oh, you're that comedian. He said, so is it really annoying getting recognised? And I went, no. I said, I'm at level. He said, what's it like being famous? And I said, well, I'm not that famous. I said, I'm not that famous because I'm still thrilled when this happens. One of the worst things, my daughter, when she was about 12, went to her friend's house, and her friend's dad went, "Your dad's a comedian." "Yeah, I'm not really a fan of his work." To a 12-year-old kid.
Yeah.
I was like, still.
That is rude. Do you hill walk much?
I don't hill walk much. I flat
Really?
walk.
You've got all the gear.
I know. I don't.
Well, you told me you're trying to get fit for.
Exactly. I'm meant to be walking across the desert.
You're walking across the
But
desert.
it's been delayed. It's February. It's meant to have been end of February. It's been delayed to end of November. That's for brain tumour charity.
Right.
So there's a group of people going, and it's. I mean, it's not very far, but it's going to be very hot.
What desert are you walking across?
Sahara.
Okay.
I mean, not across the whole thing, across a bit of it, you know. I signed up for it, and I've got my Just Giving page, and then I tried to ignore it for a long time because I'm dreading it. Not so much the walking, but like the camping, you know, bugs and snakes and things. So yeah, there's just the really silly stuff is what I worry about, not really the dehydration and the. I've taken the option. I pay for everything. I'm paying for the trip.
Right.
Every bit of money that's donated goes towards the cause. I was like an advert for my walk this. Now they've moved it to November, it's going to be in the middle of a lot of work. So I'll probably lose quite a lot of corporate stuff, I'd like to point out. So it's going to cost me the bloody earth. Actually, I shouldn't be moaning too much because obviously I'm very excited, Brain Tumour Charity, to be helping you. But now it's moved, I'm going, oh.
But it's really going to cost me now.
It's really going to cost me, and I will go on about it.
I think it's funny that I think you must be the only man your age in Britain who doesn't own a North Face or a ramp top.
Well, no, I think I do somewhere. This is already harder than I expected. So, yeah.
It is a steep one, in fairness.
It is. I'm very pleased I don't have the coat on now because I'm going to be sweating soon.
Yeah.
So.
What I like is that this is Win Hill and there's also a Lewes Hill. Well, they pronounce it loose, but it's spelled lose.
Oh, right.
Just over the way there. Oh, by the way, not only did I take my kids up here, but my father-in-law came as well. And he was like 70 at the time, so.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
So you're basically saying no moaning.
You really can't complain. If you do, you're never going to make it across the desert. Thing is, when we get clear of these trees, you'll be amazed at how high you've climbed in such a short space of time.
No, I won't be amazed. I'll be knackered. I'll go, yeah, I earned that. Yeah. Really enjoying it. So that was my aside to camera.
Very Fleabag. So we're actually quite near the top here.
Oh, really?
We've done the hard part. We can keep going straight up, or we can cut along here and sort of go a more gentle, slightly more meandery way, a prettier way.
Gentle sounds nice.
Yeah,
Flatter.
we get a nice sort of view out this way.
Lovely. That was quite a baptism of fire, I thought, that first stretch.
Yeah, it doesn't muck about.
Yeah, exactly. I liked it though.
Yeah, it's a bit steep. I wouldn't want to do it backwards holding the camera.
No, exactly. God.
There, I think you can appreciate how high we've climbed. Look, there's the reservoir. There's where we walked across.
Jesus.
See? See what you've done?
I do feel
See
good.
what you've done?
I feel it though.
Why don't we
I'm
take a
pouring
seat
sweat
and enjoy the view?
On a cold day. See, I was right not to wear a coat.
You were. It was good to be bold, start cold.
This is hardest bit, is sitting down.
So, looking back,
Yes.
when did it start for you? How long have you been at this now? It must be 20 years or so, eh?
Over 20 years,
Yeah.
a long time. A long time. Well, I did that. You know people do that thing of lying, don't they? And go, well, I've been professional this sort of time.
Yeah.
I actually, I was working as an actor, sort of, not really, and I sort of went full-time comedy professional about 22 years ago because I got an ad and went, oh, I can stop and throw myself into comedy. Yeah.
But so where did you start? So you were an actor first, you say? Did you go
Yes.
to first of all? Did you go to drama school?
I did go to drama school.
Where
I
did
was
you go?
a long time a student. I went to university, then I went to drama school.
Where'd you
go? Central. Central School of Speech and Drama.
Where's that now?
That's
As in Central
Swiss-
London or Central England?
Central it's in London.
Right, okay.
It's central. It's very prestigious.
I'm sorry that I
Dame
don't
Judi
know
Dench,
it.
Laurence Olivier. Thank you.
I have no
But-
doubt.
Okay, it's not as good as RADA, but so I went there, and I basically didn't have a very good acting career. And if my acting career I'd never thought about stand-up until I was at least 26. And it was somebody else who suggested it to me. I was doing odds and ends, like I'd do the odd little tiny part in a telly thing or a bit of fringe theatre, but I'd got a job.
Give me an example of these little telly things you would have done that I can now hunt out.
Do you remember Ian Beale getting shot in EastEnders?
I don't, but I will now.
I was his leather-clad ambulance man on a motorbike. I didn't actually ride the motorbike, but the motorbike was in the background as I walked towards one. Gunshot wound, lower abdomen. And I saved Ian Beale's life. I'd like to apologise for that. And,
Is he still right? Does he call?
He remembered me. I was at a corporate where he was at, Adam Woodyard, and I went, "Do you remember?" I know I said it's funny actually because I was when you got shot, I was your paramedic. He went, "Oh yeah, that massive long shot we did," and he remembered all of that. And yeah, and so I did things like that, and I was on, Kavanagh QC. I was on. To tell you why, because you've just said I will hunt these down. I take that literally. Please look for the Kavanagh QC. I'm excellent. I'm a very camp marshal of the court who has a little scene with John Thingy. Who is
John Thor?
John Thor.
Yeah.
And God, I was good. But I basically, I'm a little bit gutted. Things didn't take off acting wise. But
What's the corniest line you've ever had to say?
I was an actor.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to say what's the corniest line you've ever had to say as a comedian because you
Comedian.
write your own stuff. What's the shittest thing you've made yourself come out with?
The thing is, I can't remember the line very well, but it was to do with the fact of there being. I'm doing this little talk to John Thor and his assistant, and it was quite a funny joke that my line was something like, and Her Majesty cannot be. Did you know, interestingly, Her Majesty cannot be in the town at the same time as His Lordship, or whatever, because His Lordship is the Queen in this town. There cannot be two queens at one moment in the town. It was a pathetic line, but yeah, I don't
Sounds
have
like Time Cop.
Yeah, but actually, the corniest lines I remember is when Ian Beale got shot. It was
Right.
gunshot wound, lower abdomen. We're doing everything we can for him, love. Basically,
Love.
They cast me at a lower class than I actually am. But it was.
You know Dave Haddingham?
Yes,
He always said he was in the bill as a wrong-un, as a
Yeah.
villain.
of course.
And he had to say the line, "Shut it, Rossa, I'll cut you as soon as look at you."
That is fantastic.
So you're doing bit parts, bits of
that,
acting here and there.
But actually, my day job was writing and occasionally broadcasting traffic reports on the radio for like 5 Live, Radio 4. We had to have a travel centre at the BBC.
Right.
So no, I was doing these basically shift work, covering the roads for the BBC most of the time, and I was working with a guy there, and it wasn't till I was 26 years old, and he said, we used to banter the whole time, do things, and he was doing a stand-up comedy workshop with Jill Edwards, who still runs them in Brighton, but this was a City Lit thing. And he said, you should do this. And it wasn't until I did the stand-up course that I went, oh my God, I love this.
You
and
did
then
a course.
got addicted.
Yeah. So when you were doing traffic reports,
Yes.
did you ever say this? Did you ever say that there were delays caused by temporary traffic lights?
I'm sure I did.
I see.
Well,
I always pick. I when I was on 4th FM, I used to do stuff on 4th FM just at the Fringe.
Yeah.
And I remember playfully going, "No, the delays are not being caused by the temporary traffic lights. The delays are being caused by the roadworks.
Exactly.
If it wasn't for those temporary traffic lights, there'd be mayhem. Those delays have been eased by those temporary traffic lights."
See, it's pedantic people like you
Yeah.
that made the job hell. No, but it was quite.
If without my pedantry, I have nothing.
Exactly.
So you're right. I
Yes.
always think traffic report. It's like, without no disrespect, but it's like the worst job because all the news is bad.
Yes.
Like you would occasionally, I suppose, you'd say, that earlier thing is now clearing, but basically it's a list of bad news, isn't it?
It's a list of, and also it's incredibly stressful if, say, you're understaffed and something happens, like the weather turning bad. I do get stressed too easily, but I did used to. I did just go, oh my God, it's taking off all over the place. I mean, it was in the 90s, so you're getting phone calls, you get things online, and you would be in such panic, and people so angry if you'd missed something. You don't know about the M6, the M6, and I went, oh God. And also, I used to also, I've never felt so passionate about traffic. You know, like you're angry about the traffic jam you're in. I would be angry about all the traffic jams because I was stressed by going, and then on the other, and I actually sometimes did show in my reports going, and of course there's people, it's slow on the other side because people are stopping to have a look.
Yes, with a real scolding tone.
Exactly.
So you were doing traffic reports and news bulletins and that, and you did stand-up comedy course. So what year was that?
That was a long time ago. That was 96, the end of 96. I did my first gig. God, so I've been going 24.
Yeah.
This causing me I've been going nearly 25 years.
So when you were doing open mic circuit, then who would have been your cohort? Who were your contemporaries?
People.
Who were you hanging
I was
with?
just after people like Simon Evans. Jimmy Carr came after me. Michael McIntyre sort of was messing around the same time I was, maybe a little bit behind me.
He had a very funny routine about traffic reports, didn't he? To be fair, he did.
Yeah.
That one about people phoning in from the traffic jam.
Yes. I'm in the yes.
Yeah.
So I remember Jimmy. So the thing is, I was ahead of a lot of people who've gone on to be very successful because Jimmy Carr.
They are the ones you remember, isn't it?
Yeah, Jimmy Carr started
the ones that
after
just the Jack Whitehalls and the Michael McIntyre, the ones that just zoom past you.
But I remember someone going, Jimmy Carr encored on an open spot at Jongleurs. It's like, no, how has he done that? I remember McIntyre. I remember he really strikes me as the guy that I used to watch and go, you can't be middle class and be that confident. You've got to take the piss out. Why don't you take the piss out of yourself? And weirdly, it didn't work for him for a while, and then suddenly it really did.
And when did you hit on that? That sort of, because your onstage persona, I mean, it's not a million miles from your real life persona, but that thing of really playing up the fact that you're quite a camp, middle class man. You are slightly more camp on stage than off, I would say.
Yes. Oh, good. Thank you.
You know, did you? Is it just one of those things where you didn't say to yourself, "I'll be camp," or it's just that it's you, just all of you turned up to 11?
Well, I'd come from drama school. I didn't realise I was that camp till I started doing comedy.
Okay.
So people
because everybody spoke like this in drama school.
When you were at drama school, I was quite butch. I was butch and dangerous at drama school.
Nobody butch says the word butch.
But I mean, late 90s, it was a less politically correct time, and people, if I didn't mention it, people would shout out, "You're gay."
Right.
And actually, there were times when I decided not to mention being, and it was weird. I mentioned being camp or something, and I feel bad that there was a sort of I did do a line going, "I know what you're thinking, is he or isn't he?"
Right. Yeah.
Because I had to deal with it because people were so. Now I need to know before I laugh at you. I need to know if you're gay or not. I look back at it now, and I wish I hadn't been so needing to spell it out. And I think I get annoyed by the fact that exists, but so much so that it was a little bit of crusade of mine of there are loads of us camp straight men, but then I get annoyed when someone like Philip Schofield comes out. I'm like, no, you were on our side. Because I still think there are some people going, one day Hal will come out.
Yeah.
And I actually, but of course, it's also that thing where you go, even discussing it is quite homophobic because you go, well, what are you so defensive about? Why don't you? You know what I mean?
Yes.
Is it or is it? I don't know.
Because then it's that thing of, because you're not gay, it's not considered okay for you to make jokes about being gay, but you also, it's your demeanour and people are making the same judgments on you, so you can't not mention it.
Yeah. I should be
I understand your quandary.
Yes.
Have you thought about maybe perhaps just manning up a little bit?
Just dealing with it, yes.
How long would you say then before you were able to kind of call yourself a professional?
Oh, I think I was professional fairly well, yeah. I was very much part-time 96. If I did my first gig in 96, it was about 10 gigs in that year, at the end of that year. Then I did 96, 97. I said because I did an advert in 1998, which I can't remember what it was for. I think I was a butcher.
How can you not remember?
No, I was a butcher, not in Sainsbury's. It was literally, I had to hold a pack, but I got double pay or something. So I retired early from traffic reports and went, I'm going full-time as a comic. So I had this wodge of money. So I think I went professional before I could afford to. I think I was paying my way by about 1999. So it took me at least, 2.5 years from starting to saying, yeah, this is my living.
Well, that was a boom time to be a comedian as
Yeah.
well. You know, the late 90s. I mean, I was sort of early 90s. I got mid 90s. I was starting out. But yeah, the London, the streets were paved with comedy clubs.
Exactly.
Like, could you imagine starting out as a comic now? I don't just mean at our age, but just starting out now and having to do that thing of bringing 10 mates to a club in order to be able to go on stage.
And that kills the whole idea. The
Yeah.
bring a crowd kills what you, because I would never want my friends at my gigs. But it was, oh, this is nice.
The light is really breaking through, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's really quite beautiful.
But yeah, so no, it was an easy time, and I do look back at it and think, God, it was, yeah.
So now it's starting to rain. Just after we
Yes.
said that, oh, the lovely sunlight. I guess the cloud that was covering the sun is now,
over
on
us.
raining on us.
Yeah, and it's.
Would you
oh,
like
God.
a coat?
Yes, please. Thank you very much. Whether that coat that is yours will fit over me wearing my jumper is going to be interesting.
Anyway, and
This might
that
be too tight.
is how you make it stop raining, by putting on your waterproof.
Unbelievable.
It's a
Actually, I can leave it
amazing
unzipped,
trick.
so I don't have to see if it fits me. What were we talking about?
yeah. So I remember you had a
Oh yes,
really nice Tony Blair impression.
I did, which wasn't really an impression.
You had that thing about
It was
talking in the past tense,
Yeah.
the present tense,
Talk in-
and the future tense. Well,
Yeah.
I've done that. I'm doing it now, and I will continue to do it.
Yes, that was my little thing. But that was it was Dylan Moran. I was doing an open spot at the Comedy Cafe, again late 90s, and Dylan Moran was trying some stuff, and he said, "You sound like Tony Blair. You should do something about that." And it was, thank God to him, because it wasn't really an impression. It was just me, just slightly changing my voice, and you know, so I sound so like him anyway. So that was a dream. If only I wish he'd held on longer in power, because that bit of material was great. No, it was great. But God, that must have been quite in the 2000s. I'm sure we didn't work together till then. I don't think we would have done. I wouldn't have been on the same.
No, I think that was
Yeah.
the first time I remember working with you. And I feel like it was at the Apollo or somewhere like that. It was a big gig. As I say, I think it was like maybe for Amnesty or one of those ones.
Or was it that Reprieve? Would it be Reprieve?
Hal, I
we
do
do a
so much charity
Yeah.
work. I do so many gigs for charity, for worthy causes. I couldn't tell you which one. It's the only time I ever get to meet comics. So what was your first sort of TV gig then?
Well, the first time, do you remember a thing? No one will remember this though. It was a bit local. It was Carlton Comedy Warehouse, it was called.
Oh, vaguely.
And I ended up doing like a little mini documentary of me, Mitch Ben, and a comic called Mitchell Anderson. You've heard of him, he's Aberdonian, he used to play a guitar. And they
In Edinburgh?
Yeah, they did a documentary of us going to Edinburgh in '99. And so I'm very good on years, by the way. I am very
I feel
precise.
really bad because I remember that documentary and I remember Mitch Ben being on it. I don't remember
You, but I was brilliant. That is awful. I think I was really good on it. No,
I bet you were.
But it was just, you know, it was just a thing about us going to Edinburgh
Yeah.
and doing our show. And it was, oh God, our show was terrible. We got slated.
Oh, were you in a...
You were in a group show, and we
You
got like
were
a
in a group
2-star
show,
review in
right,
the
yeah,
Scotsman.
right.
They just hated us. They thought we were very mainstream and rubbish. It was so embarrassing. We were such idiotic young comics.
How important would you say the Edinburgh Fringe has been in your career as you've been coming?
I would say the better part of my career, very important. The thing that delayed. I know this sounds cocky, but I should have gone much more when I was younger, and I didn't, because
Right.
I had an agent who wasn't into it, and sort of went, it doesn't, Edinburgh's kind of doesn't really matter so much anymore. And it's when I went with the agent I have now, who went, you're going back to Edinburgh, you're going to do your best stuff, and that was Edinburgh 2012. Launched me on got me on Mock the Week and Live at the Apollo and all those things.
Right.
I was meandering for 10 years because, do you know what I mean? I think there was a sort of anti-Edinburgh time where people went, well, why are we going through all this hell? But I wish I'd ignored that and done it so much more, because it completely, it's been the basis of. I'll always start a show there before I do a tour.
Yeah, me too. You know.
But it's mainly because the audiences aren't that nice. They're quite tough. They've seen 4 shows and they're coming to see you, and you will have nights where you go, oh Christ.
Yes, if it works there, it'll you can
Yeah.
absolutely take it on the road. Yeah.
Exactly.
What a fantastic looking
That's
rainbow.
a beautiful rainbow.
I don't think I could have picked a better day. Were you sporty as a young man?
Well, see, I was as a
Rugby?
Well, yeah, but my knees. I like to bring up my knees a lot. My knees really did ruin my sporting career because I had this knee problem from about 13 or 14.
For me, it was a general lack of sporting prowess that ruined my sporting career. Yeah. So, with the second lockdown looming, how do you think you're going to spend it?
I think Lego and online gigs. No, I had lots of plans. The last one, I started. I was going to write a whole sitcom series, even without it being picked up, just to do it. And I wrote an episode and a half. So I keep thinking about there are projects I really need to do. The hard thing is, I need to write stand-up.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to not have anywhere to go.
That's
to
the
try
thing.
out
Yeah,
material.
that not being able to just go to your local comedy club and just give something a whirl.
Do you do a lot about COVID and about situation? Because I found that's most of my new material is just about that. And,
I don't have a great deal, and I feel like when we do get back to normal, I feel like it's one of those things that nobody's going to want to even hear about.
Yeah.
One joke, then move on.
Yeah. Because I think sort of there is that dream where lots of the telly that we don't really want to do. We do it to get numbers for tours. And the dream is to have the career where you can sell fairly big numbers and you don't have to do anything. You're just doing it on being a stand-up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe that's just me being quite lazy.
Yeah,
I
not
do
doing things to keep your profile up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like walking uphill. No, it is. I'd rather do that than be on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. That I would do. Actually, it is a good show. I do like.
Well, I remember when the first series of I'm a Celebrity was on.
Yeah.
And the thing that I was really struck by was TV reviewers saying, I don't know who these people are.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, well, I know who they are.
Yeah.
And I'm not even a TV reviewer. It's your job to know who these people are.
But also, I don't trust myself on a reality show. See?
Yeah, that's the other thing about one of those things where you're being filmed for
Yeah.
24 hours. If you're filming me for 24 hours a day,
Yeah.
and you can't find 20 minutes where I'm a dick,
Yeah.
you're not looking hard enough.
Exactly. What disappoints me is my wife really wants to see me in there because she knows I'm scared of rats really
Right.
badly. And I think that's horrible. That shows the lack, and my kids, that shows they have no respect at all. They don't care if I humiliate myself on national television because they think it's funny. I am funny when I'm under pressure.
Yeah.
I tend to...
Yeah.
I've got a line in my act at the moment that's from a real row Dawn and I had, and I'm so proud of it. Because this is years ago, she was thinking of leaving. And I said, please don't leave, please give me a chance to meet someone else before you go.
And you actually said that for real?
I did, I said it.
Yeah.
And I was so proud of it. And Dawn's delighted, it's in the act.
Yeah.
Obviously, that we had a row so bad that she was going to leave. But yeah, I just think that's the best time to be funny.
Yeah.
Is this it?
Is it there? Yeah.
Fantastic.
It's a nice steep finish as well, just
It
to make
is.
you really feel like you're achieving.
Yeah. We really should have brought some sort of burning thing we could set fire to and hold aloft from the top. Wow, this is stunning.
There's our trig point right there.
Oh wow. We're doing this without oxygen as well.
Drink in these last moments of freedom before lockdown number 2.
Exactly. And as a metaphor for my career, it's absolutely correct. It's been a hard struggle. It's been...
And then you get to the top and you look around and
Yeah.
you see how many other places are higher than you are.
Exactly. This here is, have I got news for you?
Well, speaking of have I got news for you, as we're at the top of the hill, what would you say have been the highlights of your career thus far?
First live at the Apollo I did
Yeah.
was, I would recommend going online. I can't see better stand-up anywhere than that show. I am so proud of that. It's not exactly hard-hitting, but I watched it again for something recently, and I hadn't seen it for ages. And I remember I went home that night, and it was the only time I couldn't sleep, because I did just lie in bed going, I am such a star. And I've never had and it was, and I did, so that, just for pure stand-up, being so proud of and I'm never proud of my stand-up, but also things like Royal Variety.
Right, yeah.
Because I did Royal Variety first when I was really unknown in 2009, and that was just exciting because it was so silly I was there.
And who else was on? Well, who were the other comics on for a kick-off?
That was Peter Kay was comparing the first one. This is 2009. Peter Kay, Jason Manford. It was up in Blackpool. Roy Walker was on. Adam Hills was on.
Right.
Adam
and
Hills,
who were the royals in attendance?
The royals were the Queen and Prince Philip.
Okay.
And I was a massive Republican until I got that gig.
And then suddenly.
And I loved the Queen ever since. I honestly adore that woman, because the risk of dying. So many people die on that show and then have to do the lineup.
Yeah.
And I did it first time. Second time I did it, I knew how hard it was, because the first time had gone really well, but the first minute it was always a bit quiet. Second time I was so frightened. I did it in 2013 at the Palladium that I walked off stage. It went really well, and I walked off stage and burst into tears to myself, going, "Thank God!" I literally had a moment where I've never done that. I walked off stage and gone, "Oh my God, it went well! Oh my God!" Because I just think Royal Variety is potentially a horror. That's why it's thrilling to do.
So they'd be high points down, Royal Variety.
Yeah, I think.
Have you met any of your heroes? Has that been a
Today's been a big day.
Yeah. I understand.
Yes. Well, do you know what? My hero, who I've met, is the one person who never remembers who I am. I've met Eddie Izzard, because in the 90s it was his videos when I first thought, I'm going to do this, and really, was doing the workshops and stuff. And I used to watch Eddie Izzard's stuff and went, this guy. I thought, if this guy can be this middle class and camp and do it, I can.
Right, yeah.
And he did inspire me. And then I've met him about 4 times. I spent a long time with him once at the Labour Party conference where we were chatting away. And then the next time he met me, he still went, yeah. It's Hal. And it's like, I'm like that. I forget people. I don't blame him for it, but it's just the one person I adore never remembers me. Whereas I do, I'm so terrible, I forget. I've done it the other way, where somebody's got very famous and I've forgotten that I knew them well.
Right.
Well, not knew them well, but knew them well enough. I remember meeting Kevin Bridges after he'd gone massive, and I met him at the Comedy Store years ago, and and I said to him, "Kevin, do you remember me, Hal? I think we did gigs together." He went, "I've been in your house." And I'd driven him to my house to get a cab home from a gig, and we chatted all the way. And so I get that. I get that reverse thing of not realising I've known big people. Who are your heroes? Do you have a?
Well, I remember meeting Eddie Izzard at the Edinburgh Fringe and being, and I had done Late and Live, and I didn't even realise he was in the room. This is back when there was just Late and Live was the only sort of, and everybody hung out there, and and he came up and he shook hands, and I'm sure he was just being polite, but he went, "That was very funny," and I was like, and I was on the phone then to friends. This is 95, I think it was, and going, "Eddie, I'd like to show my hand, he told me I was funny."
Yeah.
And I think those kind of moments to me are more than doing the Royal Variety or doing, any particular TV show. I think those moments really stick. A couple of times I met Ben Elton, and hanging out, and even, as I say, even if they're just being polite, them treating you like you're their peer is quite, I think is quite something,
I was about to say that. Ben Elton I did a charity, I've only met him once, at this charity gig at the Apollo years ago, and I had a bit of material, and he went, "That bit on Grimsby, brilliant." And I was like, "Bet." And in my mind, the man who wrote Blackadder liked this joke I made about Grimsby. It was actually, maybe the fact he pointed that bit of material he did think the rest was shit.
Well, no, because I remember meeting him in New Zealand, and again I didn't know he was even in the room. And then I tried out a new bit about New Zealand looking like Scotland, and what a waste of money it was for me to travel to the other side of the world just to see something that looks just like I could go up the road for, and it didn't work. It wasn't funny. But then talking and Ben Elton even saying, "Yeah, that didn't work, did it?" But it didn't. I didn't mind. I didn't find it insulting. It was just the fact that we were even analysing my stuff. Just felt like, anyway, we should stop hogging the summit and let other people, use it, as it were, touch it. What's the funniest thing anyone's ever said to you to let you know that they recognised you? Has anybody ever said something like, "Oh, you're that guy that's stuck with you?
See, my thing, maybe it's my fragile ego, but the only times I remember is when people don't recognise me. And I was at a premiere for a theatre thing, and that was when you're sort of being mobbed, because there's lots of famous people there. So they go, "Oh, that's a guy," and this kid was all around me and went, "And I really loved the stuff."
Oh, sorry. So you were at the premiere of
I was at
something
the premiere
with a load of
as
other
a guest.
celebrities, right? Okay,
Yeah, and that was when I was feeling very cocky, because everybody was going, "Oh, and sign this, Hal," and so then people knew, "Oh yeah, great," and all that. And this kid went, "Oh, thank you, God, thank you for signing this. I love your stuff. I've watched everything on CBeebies and thought I was Mr. Tumble." But I was once at a party where a woman literally was so convinced I was Martin Roberts, and she was going, are you Martin Roberts?" I went, "No." She went, she's like Martin Roberts." Then she started dragging people in to go, "Look at this guy, he looks like Martin Roberts." And I very nearly lost my cool and went, "I actually have more Twitter followers." But I didn't, but I was sitting there, and my daughter was next to me going, "You are so angry." Because I was getting to the stage of going, "Actually, you know what?" So yes, so I'm quite pathetic. I get, that was really annoying. I've never had anybody that really. I do love being recognised. I really want to put that out there, because I love it. I can be having a shit day and someone goes, "You're that comedian Hal Cruttenden," and I'm so shallow that I lift.
It lifts you. I was on a plane once and it was delayed, and I was with the kids, and they let us go into the cockpit to have a look while it was on the ground.
Yeah.
But the pilot actually confided that what had actually happened was, he said, "I know who you are." He said, but the air hostess, she'd actually gone, "Oh, you'll never guess who's back there, Rob Brydon."
Oh my God.
One of the funniest things anyone's ever said to indicate that they recognise me, I was walking along the street in Edinburgh once during the Fringe, and there was a guy standing in a doorway. And I don't know why he said it this way.
Yeah.
But as I was walking past, he just went, "I see you." Like, I don't know if he thought I was in disguise.
Yeah.
I don't know if he thought I was giving it the big I am. I don't know what it was, but I thought it was so funny. He went, "I see you."
Oh, that's fantastic.
Well, let's get back down to the reservoir.
Yeah, do we go back? Oh,
We won't go back. No, we won't go back exactly the same way we came up. That is a curious thing about this business, though, is that the difference between bubbling under and major success is so minor. And then even when you're a success, the difference between, reasonable success and stratospheric, again, can be so sort of. You do find yourself going, "Oh, how come that guy is doing so much better than that guy?"
Yeah.
Or how come, they're doing this and that.
No, I mean, I also think you never stop worrying. I think if I got a, if say I got a regular, I've never had a regular TV show. I know if I got one, I'd be shitting myself every year to know if it was going to be recommissioned or, So I think the worry never stops, does it? For anybody.
Well, also my kids have started asking me questions now, like, "How do you get more famous?"
Yeah.
It's like, son, I'm where I'm gonna be. That's.
Well, I think the interesting thing, what I thought when I was not in the business, was I thought everybody who stopped being on TV things just chose not to.
Right. Yes.
Think, "Oh, why aren't you doing that anymore?" "Oh, yeah, I just, you just think, oh yes, I chose not to," but actually,
the business just cast me aside.
yeah.
Yeah. You do kind of reach a point. Certainly, I have, where you just kind of go, "This is it." You don't, because I think for so much of your career, you do think about what the next thing will be, and you do think, "Oh, maybe if I get to do that, and maybe," and I think most people wouldn't admit it, but you do have in the back of your mind dreams of further successes and riches, and I think you just reach a point where you kind of go, "Yeah, this is it now." I'm 48. Spielberg is not going to come and knocking at this point.
But then I don't know. But the thing is, I still look at someone like Bradley Walsh and go, "See, Bradley Walsh has had his best years probably in his 50s, mate." Well, mate, he's had a good long career, but I still look at people and go, "They had great years at that time," or whatever. I still, and I think you still can. I still.
No, you're absolutely right.
I think less career-wise, but almost artistically, I still believe that I could one day write an Edinburgh show I really think's good, and that I really think, and the critics love, and it just and everything works, and I'm still still seeking that sort of nirvana. Whenever I tour, I go, God, I love this. This is what I always wanted to do, is just tour my own show, and that was the dream.
Yeah, I remember years ago, being on the circuit, I remember the first time I felt this way, on the way out the Dormy Flat in Camberwell.
Yeah.
And just feeling tired and just not feeling in the mood, not being excited. And the first time it happened, I think I might be on my way to do the cartoon in Clapham. It just felt, for the first time, like work a day, as it were.
Yeah.
And then it gave, just that feeling gave me a weird lift, because it really hammered home, this is your job.
I know, yeah.
And it was like, and this is as bad as it gets.
Exactly.
And it's not that bad. The fact that I've allowed this to feel commonplace shows the extent to which it's my profession. And it actually made me feel really good.
Exactly. No, I had that with my first acting job of being, I was a solicitor and I had one line. I'm so specialist in terrible plots, but the emotion of being paid to act, and the emotion of being, when you first, I think I won the new act competition at the Comedy Cafe and got asked back for a Thursday, and you got something like 20 quid, and it was the first time somebody gave me, I never forget the times people gave me money to do what you wanted to do, and it seemed so magical. And now we're just furious if our corporate fee is going down. Yeah.
But
yeah, no, you do forget. I do try and do that. I do think it is lovely, that idea of going up a hill to look down on what you've achieved. But it is exactly, do you know what I mean? It is exactly that feeling where you go, just do look down occasionally and realise you have lived a lot of your dream.